We see what they do in places like the UK, places all across Europe where free speech does not exist. You now see what is taking place in Canada. Do you think that free speech is going to continue to exist in the United States of America? I always say to you, what would liberals do? What would the Democrats do if left completely unfettered? Not with the checks and balances that we have. You have a pretty good idea as to what they would do. You saw it with COVID. But Canada is a great experiment to look to. And hopefully eventually take over. I'd love to see us take over Canada, make it the 51st state, conquer them. You know, if people are going to accuse us of being an empire, let's be an empire.
Yeah. Take the oil.
You've heard me talk about this many times. Free speech doesn't exist outside of the United States. Okay, it does not exist. So earlier this year, the Canadian government passed this bill, Bill C-11, which regulated the way services like Netflix and YouTube operated in the country. Okay. Now, let me just set that up. Now they're going to extend this to podcasts. They're going to extend this to people who have online digital platforms like yours truly and places like Rumble. The Canadian government is going to demand all of that information be handed over just like their gun registry. So at the time of the original bill, conservative opposition leader Pierre Poilievre, or however you guys say it in America. I'm not trying to be affected. It's like I have 15 friends who have that last name. It's like Smith in French Canada. He warned back then regarding the implications of the bill. Sorry, wrong clip. Here's the one in question.
Justin Trudeau has tried to shut down competition by passing censorship laws that give a powerful central bureaucracy the control over what Canadians see and say. What that bill will do is reinforce oligopolies. It will limit the number of voices that can compete for Canadians' interest. I don't think that Canadians should be forced just to listen to the powerful corporate or state-funded media. I think that it should be free speech, freedom of the press, and then let Canadians decide what they read, what they see, and what they believe online.
Fast forward, Friday, government announced under C-11 that all online services with revenue over $10 million will have to register with the CRTC. That's like their equivalent of kind of like
the FTC or whatever?
Yeah, like the FTC, kind of, but it's a silly place. So here's a quote from the National Post. FTC. Such services include streaming services, social media services, subscription television services that are available online. This includes podcasts. So this will include yours truly. This will include Rumble, and we'll get to their responses here. This is very scary when you consider the kind of information that they want and the kind of control that they have exerted in Canada. Keep in mind, this is the country that froze the bank accounts of truckers protesting lockdowns. Right. This guy gets a thrill, Trudeau, at removing your civil rights. The only two people who I think actually, it's almost, they get that godlike thrill that a serial killer gets, when they take another life. That's what I've heard. Is they get this thrill.
You can't say that with that mustache treatment.
No.
You look suspect.
A little bit, yeah.
I am a golden god. Now,
oh boy.
These guys get a thrill. I've said this 2 times. Trudeau, Whitmer. They get a thrill out of removing your civil rights. And we actually do, I guess we have staff's reaction right now as the news is breaking.
Yeah.
Guys, you see this? Netflix in Canada, they're starting to regulate all this shit, podcasts, everything.
Who gives a f***?
Yeah, tell me when they've been overrun by Venezuelans so I could also not care.
I don't know. That Pierre Poilievre guy is pretty dashing.
What the hell, Gary?
Gary, he's pure of heart. So
yeah,
he's a homo.
This means that all of these services and this information will have to be provided to the government, the CRTC. Addresses, numbers, and emails, the types of services offered, and who is actually subscribing. Look, there is no reason to live in Canada anymore unless you personally have a fetish for living under a gay dictator. Putin. That's one other thing. Those are the only 2 things.
Yeah.
Leave the country.
Hey, Steven, don't you think it's you think it's a coincidence you just moved Mud Club over to Rumble and all of a sudden this breaks?
No. No, I don't.
I think they've been targeting all of the top creators on Rumble.
Well, yes, they will target
Rumble itself.
Yes, they've been targeting all of the top creators on Rumble, and this is also the problem with, conservatives playing ball with big tech companies, because guess what? YouTube is probably thrilled about this.
Oh, yeah. They're probably behind it. What are you
YouTube,
talking
Facebook,
about?
Meta, they want to work
Yeah,
with these
they're
other
like,
governments.
Hey, we'll turn over the information gladly. These other guys, they won't, so we can deal with it. Bring the regulation.
So Jordan Peterson actually, he posted this on X. I was going to say tweeted out. He X'd out at
that doesn't sound right.
Free speech in Canada, if it ever existed, does not exist now. Now,
we love Jordan Peterson.
I love Jordan. Obviously, we were the one back with Bill C-16. Had him on before he was really out here in the States, and I've been saying for a long time it doesn't exist in Canada. Free speech only exists in the United States. Period. People will tell you, no, it exists. Remember that newsroom clip with Jeff Daniels? He's like, what? Freedom? Belgium has freedom. No, they don't.
Nope.
No, they don't. They do not have freedom in Canada. It is a lie. It is a facade, just like you thought you had freedom in Australia until you were put in quarantine camps. Chris Pavlovsky, the CEO of Rumble, and brass, pendulous balls. I couldn't be happier, just to be clear, to be in business with these people. These are the only people. And by that, I mean the only people pushing back. And this guy was raised in the shithole that is Canada. What he said was, Canada is no longer part of the free world. As a Canadian, I've never been more embarrassed than I have these past few weeks. So let me ask you this. If we see what they do in places like the UK, places all across Europe where free speech does not exist, you now see what is taking place in Canada. Do you think that free speech is going to continue to exist in the United States of America? Comment below. Do you think it's something that connect? Do you think you can keep it? Do you think you can protect it? Because people will often say, big tech, oh, well, hold on a second, that does it's not government. Go create your own. Well, hold on a second. Now we've added another rate limiting factor, not just protection for these big tech companies, but you have to register all of your information with the government, a government who, by the way, have already said that they will make certain information impermissible to post.
Yeah.
There's a ministry of truth. And I know I'm using that term, that's a Monty Python thing, but they actually had a panel conclusively. And this is something, look, guys, you can go back to the blue bedsheet days if you need to. I have been talking about this for many, many years on this channel. I didn't know that it would get as extreme as it has been in the United States this quickly, or certainly the government using a registry to get all of your... I thought they would just censor what you said on big tech platforms. I didn't think they would get your mailing address. I've been telling you about this, warning about it for years. Here's an old clip. So you would be okay with like Canadian law where you can be jailed for quote unquote hate speech or fined? Yeah.
What is hate speech in Canada like then?
Well, they just passed a bill where you can actually, depending on how you read it legally, you can be fined or you can be jailed for misusing gender pronouns for someone who's transgender.
Really?
Mm-hmm. You can be punished for that
By
legally.
accident? What if you...
I mean, at that point, right, legally it's either it's illegal or it's not. So then it becomes, is it by accident or is it on purpose? Either way, is it something that should be a punishable offense?
No.
Okay. So we've said that's not hate speech.
So in other words, they're trying to break down the First Amendment rights in Canada.
Well, they don't have a First Amendment. No other country has a First Amendment outside the United States.
Okay, yes,
Yeah, free speech doesn't exist outside the United States. A lot of people don't know that. They were shocked back then to hear laws regarding pronouns.
Yeah.
What about now? Hey, the same place that will jail you for using the wrong pronouns now wants the address of anyone who subscribes to a platform that may not use their new made-up pronouns. Oh my, wow. Orwell undershot it.
Yes, it did.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.